The week I'm making this video, episode 11 of season 7 of The Flash came out, and it showed everything that's wrong with The Flash right now. So I decided to make a video on how this episode shows everything that's wrong with The Flash. Hi, hope you're having a great day. You're watching Jerry Entertainment, myself. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe and like the video. To get more Arrowverse content in the future, especially from Superman and Lois, and I'll definitely be reviewing the Flash seasons and Arrow seasons, as well as just to get more content on movies and TV shows, also specifically superhero type of things. So yeah, feel free to subscribe and like the video. Also comment that you still like The Flash, and if not, why not, and if yes, why yes. Now, let's get started. Okay, I'm sorry you see me different from the intro. It's just that I got a light because it got super dark out of nowhere, so I just turned on the light real quick. So yeah, now let's get started. So this Flash episode is the concluding episode of the Forces arc. This episode starts with Iris, Forza, and the Sage Force dead from the last episode, which was a super cool cliffhanger. But then what happened? Well, it turns out it was all just an illusion. I mean, what? Why? I mean, everybody was theorizing could this create a second Flashpoint by causing Barry to go back in time to save them, and all that type of stuff. But then it turns out they just cheapen out the consequences, and it's just an illusion, which just sucks. It doesn't. It's not cool. It's not. Oh, that's super smart. No, it's just it. It just sucks in my opinion. And this is a recurring theme throughout the episode. What's it called? Shying away for consequences of things that they have already established, and really just not living up to their arcs. For example, with Killer Frost, she had the whole arc of her having to redeem herself, and a whole episode dedicated to how she had to pay for crimes, and that she would have to go to jail for life without any chance of coming out because she didn't want any. She wanted to be the cause she wanted to be the starting thing that caused metahuman cures to be weapons, which was super cool. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a great arc and everything. But then what happens? Well, this episode, she gets out, and turns out she's in probation now. When before she had like no chance, but now guess what? She's in probation. Why? Well, because she stopped some metahumans from escaping, and we didn't even see her do this unless you're talking about that flirt fight. But that didn't seem heroic to me. That just seemed kind of I don't even. That just seemed weird. I thought the whole time I was watching that was weird. I didn't feel like, oh yes, because Frost being heroic, even whenever she was in jail. No, it was just like, okay, that's weird. And we didn't even find out about this into a conversation that she has at the end of the episode. I mean, just why even bother with the story if you're just gonna undermine it? And you're just gonna undermine the importance and significance of the story. I just thought it was a terrible decision that I could not believe anyone thought it was good. Like who was writing this and thought, you know what? What if a couple episodes we let her free? And we're gonna say because she saved people, and now she's in probation because that was brought up in the trial that she saved people, and it still didn't work. So I don't see how anybody thought this was good, and this is very incoherent with what the show had already established. So yeah, I am not a huge fan of that, and it just undermines the consequences, which, like I said, is a recurring theme in this episode. Well, where else? Well, it also happens with Honora and the Forces plot twist, with the Forces being the ones that are actually causing like the huge storm. Honora is supposed to be the good side of this, but then like 5 minutes later, it's either 5 minutes or 5 minutes later or less, then the show goes like, never mind, Nora is the bad guy, and it's just like, then why even do the whole plot twist that Nora's the good guy, or the good person or whatever, and the Forces are the bad people, and then 5 minutes later be like, oh no, Nora's the bad guy, and the Forces are the good guys. I just thought it was, I thought it was weird. It just undermined the whole plot twist that had no reason to be there. It was so useless, and just why even do it? I thought it was just dumb, terrible writing from their part. I don't know why they would do it if they're just not gonna use it. Uh, I don't know if something got cut out while they were making the episode or something, but it just felt like it went nowhere, like nowhere at all, and it was resolved in like 5 minutes. So I don't know what they were trying to do. Okay, another example is at the very start of the episode, Cecile gets hit by lightning. So what happens then? Well, by the end of the episode, she's perfectly fine, and there goes once again another point on the show literally undermining uh, super serious moments. I mean, they should be super serious moments. I mean, she got struck by lightning and then not causing anything at all. She was perfectly fine by the end of the episode. I mean, it's lightning. I don't know what the show is doing anymore. They're just undermining their stakes. They put stakes away, but they put enough stakes, but I don't feel them anymore. Like at the end of the episode, whenever the whole world was gonna get destroyed or whatever, I don't feel them anymore. I don't feel the stakes. Why? Well, they already. I just they keep undermining it. Like at the end of the episode, whenever Perry had to run and he wasn't fast enough to run around the storm, I already knew. Oh, okay, he's gonna get something and he's gonna run fast enough. And guess what? That's exactly what he did. He got something and he started running fast enough to stop the storm, just like I thought. And it just undermines the whole feeling hype and oh my god, I don't know how they're gonna solve this and oh I feel the stakes, and I just felt terribly disappointed, and I was the whole time I was just like, how could somebody think that this is good? Another thing in this episode that highlights what's wrong with the show is that Barry is no longer the main character of his own show. Literally, he's supposed to be the main character of his own show, but he's no longer the main character of his own show. What do I mean by this? In this episode, well, he wasn't even the one who defeated Nora. He didn't even make the plan to defeat Nora. Instead, the forces did. But Barry should have been the one who defeated Nora. Why? Well, not only because he's literally the main character and he should be the person doing the most to defeat this character, but because it makes a lot more sense for him to defeat Nora by bringing out her good side, especially since she looks like his mom, and that would mean that he's the one that can see the mom side in the Speed Force. And instead, Barry just runs around the storm. It just felt like the writers were just trying to find an excuse to get Barry sidelined, while the other side characters slash the forces uh, get focused in the finale and defeat the main villain, which is just I thought that was terrible. I mean, it's literally Barry's show. I don't know why they thought that silencing Barry would be good, but they silenced him. Okay, another reason why that kind of ties into the last one, which is that there is way too many characters. I mean, it's crazy how many characters there is in this show, and there's just no way that you can balance them. And this is clearly shown in the show that they can't balance them, and they probably couldn't even if they were the best writers. For example, next episode is going to be Cisco's last episode, and we have barely seen any of this story develop through the episodes. With the story in this episode, just with the story of him leaving the Team Flash in this episode, the episode right before he leaves, just being that he gets a text message. That's all we see from that story. He gets a text message at the very end of the episode. Like, that is crazy. He's about to leave. One of the main cast members. One of the most important fundamentals part of the show getting big. And that story gets sidelined so bad. Like, it was one message in this episode at the very end. That is crazy. I found that incredibly crazy. I think that it just shows how crowded the show is now. For example, other characters that got silenced in this episode is Legger. Like, we're watching the whole episode. I didn't see her show up until the very end in a little small conversation. That was it. What about Killer Frost? Like, she had like that rushed. She got her story got rushed, her Joe story, and instead of having her be heroic and showing how even with Joe she still did the right things, showing that even with people still trying to condemn her to jail, she was still trying to save people no matter what and everything. No, instead they have her flirt fight for some random reason, and it just felt super rushed. It felt like they didn't have anywhere near as much time to be able to develop this arc, which just shows that there's so many characters. Or Chester and Caitlin, who literally got no story in this episode. I can't even remember what scenes Caitlin was in this episode, except for that one conversation with Frost, and that was it. I can't remember the other scenes, and that's crazy. I find that crazy. I think that cast has to be severely reduced in order to make more time to explore characters deeply and give their own character arcs justice, just like they could have done with the Killer Frost arc, but they didn't because they just completely rushed through it. And I think part of that is because there's just so many characters that you just can't do very fleshed out arcs for every character. Next reason is the cringiness of the show. This show adds unnecessary elements to it to make it cringy. A great example of this is the forces calling each other sister and brother and little sister and are you hiding something from me, little sister, and stuff like that. That it's just like, what? Like, they're not even related, and it's just, I just the whole time I thought that was so cringy. The whole thing like that, and the forces also refer to Barry and Iris as their father and mother, even though they're not really their father and mother. They just give them powers. I just it just felt so weird. I just couldn't. I just didn't know what to do anymore. I was like, what? It was just so cringy. Or another example of this is the way that they made Nora get a completely gothic suit. I mean, it just took away from me. I wasn't like, oh, this suit is super cool and whoa, she's a true villain now. No, I was like, what just happened to her? They just made her go gothic, and it wasn't interesting at all. It wasn't cool at all. It just made it cringy. It's not adding anything to the show, and I hope the writers realize that they're going way too cringy and way too on the nose. Like her going all black, okay, it's way on too on the nose that she's evil. Okay, we get that she's evil, but she doesn't have to go full on black. Or like mother, sister, brother. We get that they gave each other powers and all that, but you don't have to add sister, brother, mother, father, whenever they're really not. And it just adds for that cringy thing to the show. That does not help the show at all. It really doesn't. It just makes it worse. Another way this episode shows how this show is going bad right now is that this show is losing its comedy. I don't think that there was one time in this episode where I laughed or where I even like felt like a little like, oh, that was funny in my brain. And that's because the show's jokes are becoming lame and feel stuffed rather than natural and funny. This is really bad because the show is supposed to be funny and fun. The last episode was neither funny nor fun. This show can go dark. For example, in season 1, it went dark with the murder of Barry's mother, and in season 2, it went dark with Jay Gary killing the father of Barry. So this show can definitely go dark. I understand it going dark, but it still needs to keep that fun and those jokes there. And just like season 1 and season 2 did, they had a perfect balance of, yeah, it has to go serious and dark, but it can still have its fun things and the jokes, which make this show successful and make this show the show that it is now, like the Flash. But in this episode, it seems like they completely forgot about the fun and about the jokes. And the jokes that they put didn't land for me. I thought they were incredibly lame, incredibly unnatural. It just felt like, okay, we need to come up with a joke. Here's a joke, and there you go. And it wasn't fun to watch either. I wasn't like, oh, I'm having so much fun watching this. I was just like, what? And it's just this show is losing what was very special of it, which is that you can have a seriousness, it could be all that, but you'll still have fun watching it. You still laugh watching it. You still have a great time watching it. And this isn't going on anymore, which is once again showing something wrong with the Flash. And this is something that has been missing from the latest seasons, probably since I don't even know when, but it has been doing this throughout the seasons and throughout the last seasons. The first two had a perfect balance, and the third one going on, it's been losing the fun and the jokes and all that. And this episode perfectly highlights it, showing once again something wrong with the Flash. Now, my second to last reason, and that is the terrible CGI. I mean, terrible CGI. Literally, one fight that there was in this episode just looked like an old video game, and that was the one where the forces were fighting Nora in that complete CGI fake background, and it just looked so bad. I don't know who in the VFX team approved that to come out. I would have been like, okay, we can't do this right without making it look good because it looked bad. It looked full CGI, full no budget. It was bad. Literally, and the show isn't doing itself any favors, but they're adding unnecessary CGI. Like Fursa being full CGI is not necessary. In the comics, she was still human. She was just super strong. You could have just hired a super strong woman. Maybe add a little CGI to her, but not make her full CGI. I don't know what they were going for with that. And it doesn't look good either. It just looks weird. It looks ugly, and it doesn't make my enjoyment better. Or the giant storms and the giant storm at the end of the episode. It looked fake, especially when Barry was running on it. It just looked super fake, and I don't know what they're doing. I mean, literally, you can tell that this show is really on a budget. And like I said, the show isn't doing itself any favors. I don't know why they're choosing to make themselves CGI backgrounds and adding storms and everything whenever it really wasn't necessary to the story or to the show in general. Like it was just, I don't know why they're adding it. It's unnecessary, and it's just ruining the experience and showing how bad the show can look. It really isn't. And I hope they stop using so much CGI because it really takes me out of the scenes because of how bad it looks. And the budget can really go somewhere else, like Cisco's suit, for example, which really sucks, by the way. But yeah, please stop using so much CGI. So when there is CGI, it looks great, kind of like it did before, not how it does now. And my last reason is that the villains suck now. I mean, this episode perfectly proved that way. Nora, she sucks. It was an interesting concept. Whenever the plot twist was revealed, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's evil. It was so good, super good. But then they drop it. I mean, the villains suck now. Literally, the way that they treated the villain it's probably one of the lamest things I've ever seen. By her giving her vision, wait, there being nobody, and then her screaming no. For certain stuff, I didn't even know what was going on that scene for like a good minute. I was like, what's going on? And the villains suck. I really think I still don't even understand what Nora's motivation was. Like she kept saying that the forces were dangerous, but then I don't know what happened that just changed that the forces were dangerous, or I don't even know what her motivation was. And this episode just proves that the villains suck. They're getting literally zero great character development. It's just they suck. They suck. Ever since Saboteur was okay, DeVoe was okay, Cicada was terrible, Ramsey was good, the Mirror Girl sucked, and then Nora in this episode proves that she sucks. So we are starting to see that the Flash villains suck, and this show cannot be great without the villains being great. Season 1 was great because Reverse Flash was great. Season 2 was great because, well, I'm not just saying that it just because of her, but this adds to the show being great. Season 2 was great because Zoom was great, and without great villains, we don't have great seasons. And this is not a great season, and partly it's because Nora is not great, and it's not good either. She sucks. Oh, I forgot to mention the pep talks. I mean, everybody apparently needs pep talks to reach their full potential. Because Joe literally had to give a pep talk to Barry and Iris about how to deal with it, and do people really need pep talks and like in emergency problems with the world's about to get destroyed? This show has always had this problem with pep talks, and this episode once again proves it. So please don't add pep talks, take them off, do something else with them. Make the show more creative instead of adding pep talks. Make it a more creative way to add solutions. No pep talks, please. If you're gonna have some, you can have them, but not as the solution, please. And that was all the ways this episode shows everything wrong with The Flash. Thanks for watching. Tell me if I missed something down in the comments below, and if you agree with this list, or if you disagree with some points that I pointed out here that you think were actually good. So leave them in the comments down below. I would be curious to know. Also, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out more content. I think if you like this video, you'll definitely enjoy more content. So go check out more content. I'll leave some content in the end screen. And yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And this is J Entertainment. Out.